What's up, people? It's another edition of the New Breed Podcast. Another edition. Have another drink, Jay. This is the world's best new metal podcast. There's two guys who are really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM. Tim, how's it going?
Great.
All right. So what are we doing this week, folks? Well, this week we're doing part one of a three-part series. So as new metal tailed itself off, you had a bunch of different genres vying for control, trying to be the next big thing, whether overtly or covertly, or even inadvertently. And one of the things that came out was the rise of what we consider now new wave of American heavy metal. With that came the rise of metalcore, things like As I Lay Dying, but also you had a very, very big burgeoning hardcore scene. And with that, for the next couple episodes, Tim and I are going to do a series where we're going to talk about three of the labels that we think were most impactful to this post-new metal world, and their influence is still resonating and reverberating today with a lot of the bands and a lot of the sounds we see. So the first episode in this series, we're going to go with Chicago's own, the infamous Victory Records. So Tim,
yeah.
What was your first experience? How did you first come across Victory as a label?
Victory Style 3, the comp.
Wow. Okay.
I remember being in Hot Topic one day when I was a kid, and they used to have like 12 CDs. There was two sections, 6 each, and they had headphones on each, and you could pick a CD to listen to. And they had that one. They had a Century Media one, which I found the same day. And they had, at the time, it was the big stuff like Deftones, shit like that. But I remember putting Victory Style on, and the first song I hear is In Cold Blood. I forget the song title, but it's the song that has all the soloing in it. It's on Hell on Earth.
I'm looking it up now. I'm trying to find Victory Style 2. Here we go. Okay, so Victory Style 2, the first song
3.
is 3. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Victory Style 3.
You are fucking youngin'. Jesus. Hold on. Let me find
man.
Victory Style 3. Here we go. Victory Style 3. The first song was Hatebreed Before Dishonor.
Yeah, but that's not the song I did first. It was just like a random thing that they picked.
Okay.
It was an In Cold Blood song.
Lost in Doubt.
There you go. It has J-Man from Mushroom Head on it because he sung on that record. And I remember just hearing it, and I was like, whoa, what is this, dude? And just bought the comp and took it home, and just so many good bands on there. Thumbs on there, right?
Yes. My God, we should do a deep dive on that. Yeah.
Name some other stuff that was on there.
So it was Hatebreed, Catch-22, Thumb, Bad Brains, Earth Crisis, Cause for Alarm, Hi-Fi and the Roadburners, Integrity, Scarhead, Warzone, OS 101, Strife, Bloodlet, By the Grace of God.
Yeah.
Blood for Blood, Electric Frankenstein. My God, I haven't heard that name in a while. Shutdown and Snapcase.
Yeah, a lot of good songs on that, man. That's basically, I mean, before that, I was getting into punk like H2O and shit from my buddies, but I remember getting this, and I'm like, oh, I recognize some of these bands, like Earth Crisis, stuff like that. But yeah, just I heard that In Cold Blood and Integrity and stuff. I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, that was no joke.
What year did that come out?
Victory Style 3 came out in 1998.
Yeah, sounds about right. Because I started getting into punk stuff about 96, right when I probably started high school. I was still listening to Manson, all that kind of shit, but the hardcore came in heavy around then.
Jesus, that is kind of nuts. I mean, my first experience with them was Victory Style 1.
Wow.
So I remember picking up Victory Style, and this is Gray by Strife. This is Abraxas Annihilation by Integrity, Steps, Earth Crisis, Dead Guy, One Life Crew, Warzone, Strife, Bloodlet, all that sort of stuff. Donuts, which was always a weird, like, Hi-Fi and the Roadburners. But I remember picking that up and going, this stuff isn't bad. It's not bad. And then my first Earth Crisis album actually wasn't until Gomorrah's Season Ends.
Yeah, my first one was probably the same one, but I remember liking Breed the Killers the most.
Okay. Yeah, so not new metal, right? But this was something. So Tony Victory started this. Tony Brummel started this out of Chicago. I think it was 89 was, I think, their first release. Mm-hmm. And he'd been floating around for a bit, and it just seemed to be that time where he had a moment where everything he touched was gold.
Yeah, that label put bands into the stratosphere in the underground. Not so much, mainstream, because back then there was nothing mainstream about
Mm-mm.
these labels that we're going to talk about. This was all bands that were, touring fucking 9 months out of the year in a van, Earth Crisis, Strife, all that kind of shit. So
Mm-hmm.
he was like you said, he was just hitting on all sides of the fence for that stuff,
Yeah,
which is
he
cool because,
yeah,
it's probably shaped a lot of that label has probably shaped a lot of people's, musical taste, if you think about it.
right. And when we go through their catalog, they actually had a second wind. So
Yeah.
after like the arguably, Tim, we could divide it into two camps. We can divide it into the California takeover years, which is classic Victory. This is Earth Crisis, Snapcase, Strife, Bloodlet, which are a band that's terribly, terribly overlooked. Dead Guy, Integrity. And then you had the next version, which was, I think it was Premonitions of War was a Victory band.
Yeah.
And you had Bury Your Dead, and you had Dead to Fall, and you
Yep.
had the more modern metalcore type stuff, the Gothenburg sound. That was their second wind. And then, which is an odd parallel with some of the other labels that we're going to talk about in this series, things kind of fell apart.
Absolutely.
It
I
kind of fell
think,
apart.
I don't know anything about him and what he did, but like, so I can't really speak ill of him. I don't know him. I don't know what he did, but a lot of bands have spoke ill about him and his practices and stuff. And like I said, I'm not going to be the dude that says it because I don't know anything about it. So, but I've interviewed bands on Ill Street that have told me like, yeah, he was a fucking POS, and there's. But the funny thing is, most of the bands I spoke to about that, they're like, I don't really want to speak about it, but yeah, he was a POS. And I'm like, all right, cool. I respect
I,
that.
I'm looking here at the write up on Wikipedia, Tim. Their catalog includes 4,500 master recordings.
Jesus.
Think about that. That is insane. But here we are talking about the second coming of Victory. We rattled off all the bands that we love, the Earth Crisis and Snapcase of Stripes. When you look at their Wikipedia article, what are the bands they call out as prominent artists? Thursday,
Yeah.
Hawthorne Heights, Silverstein, Taking Back Sunday, Bayside, Streetlight Manifesto, A Day to Remember. So that's all the second wave
Yeah,
of Victory shit, right?
that's all your pop punk, metalcore-ish stuff that people, huge bands, all them bands were huge.
And I'm going to say it. The success of the bands like the Earth Crisis, like the Snapcases, like the Stripes, are what paved the way for him to afford those type of bands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
So,
dude, even before all that stuff, I mean, he put out two of my favorite records of all time, which is Satisfaction and The Death of Your Perfect World. Two of my favorite records of all time. And I'm pretty sure if you spoke to 10 hardcore kids, I think 8 of them would probably say they're two of their favorite records.
probably. Yep. So let's look at the Victory catalog. So again, they start with 89. The band is Awake. And then it's kind of spotty in 89. There's Inner Strength, there's Billingsgate. I mean, this is the In Contrast of Sin EP from Integrity. So that's a notable release right there. And there's a bunch of different stuff that, I mean, I don't know if it's so relevant, stuff like Worlds Collide, stuff like Iceburn. I think that when I look through this, Tim, when I look through their discography, I think the first album that jumps out to me is something that I can recognize instantly is Looking Glass Self by Snapcase.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is 93.
Yeah, that band was through the 90s, huge fucking band.
Yes.
Especially in the tri-state area,
Yep.
New York, because they're from New York, but like the tri-state area, huge band. I mean,
Yep.
they played fucking every weekend.
New York City and New York, the surrounding state, right? Albany, Buffalo, all that. PA, New Jersey, up through New England, dude. Right? Like the Boston scene. So that is the first album that jumps out at me. Is like, oh, okay, that's the Victory I know. And then the next big release was, I guess, Warzone live at CBGB in 93.
Yeah.
And then after that is Firestorm.
Another
by
huge
Earth
fucking
Crisis.
record.
So can you imagine the monster? I mean, that was an absolute monster when that came out.
Jeez, yeah, I mean, even
93.
Warzone was a huge fucking band back then.
Yes. When does Rabies pass? What year? Do you remember?
Was it 97?
I don't remember.
Google it.
Let's see here. I'm looking up now.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like it was around then.
97, September
Yeah,
11th, 97.
yeah. And it was on all the back of the
Every
CDs
single
and
victory.
yeah.
Yeah, RIP Rabies. So going back to that discography though, so you have Warzone, you have Earth Crisis, yeah, blah 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 blah, blah. Hi-Fi and the Roadburners, Donuts, two bands which every time I think of Victory and Obscure, those are two I think of. I think the next big release for them, it's Warzone, Old School to New School, which was 90, was that 94? Yeah. One Truth, 94.
Another great record.
All Out War, the EP by Earth Crisis, 95.
Oh yeah.
And then you end up with
Oh, you know what?
What?
So he's put out 3 of my favorite records, because For Those Who Were Crucified is another one of my favorite records.
Yep. Earth Crisis again. Raid. He did Hands Off the Animals, right? I mean, and then here we go. 95. Destroy the Machines. Earth Crisis, this puts them on the map. 95 again. Systems Overload by Integrity.
Oh yeah.
The Steps EP by Snapcase. Back to back to back. I know they're looked down on with disdain, but One Life Crew.
Yeah.
Right? They were a big band until they kind of went off the fucking deep end.
Yeah.
That was 95. You had A Fixation on a Coworker by Dead Guy.
Great record.
Bloodlet, Eclectic,
Great
which
record.
isn't my favorite of them. What do you think? How do you think history has judged them, Tim?
Bloodlet?
Bloodlet.
For some reason, like, they don't get talked about a lot. I remember This Is Hardcore when they played, like, there's people around me just like, oh, I'm gonna go outside. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? They were fantastic.
Like, what? They sounded great that night, man.
Well, and they're also I mean, if you think of like the big 3 of Victory, it's obviously the California Takeover bands, but right behind them is Bloodlet, it's Dead Guy, it's All Out War.
Yeah.
I just think they were. Is it fair to say, Tim, they were a little bit too far ahead of their time? They were just a little too odd for what was going on in the scene at the time?
Yeah, they were definitely in the reins with Dead Guy, where it was people did not know how to take that shit. I mean, nowadays it's, acceptable because, there's a million bands that sound like that. But yeah, you're dead on with that. People just didn't know how to take it. And the records after that were the same way. It was just like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and the next one, Entheogen, is the one that really stuck out for me.
Great, that's another great one too.
But then we've got Gamora's Season's End. Gamora's season ends in 96. You've got Victory Style. This is when the comps start. Humanity is the Devil.
Huge record.
Entheogen by Bloodlet. You have Warzone, the Lower East Side EP. This is a big album of a band I'm admittedly gonna admit I'm never really got into. The Path of Resistance.
Oh yeah, that's
Who Dares Wins was 96.
Yeah. Isn't that Carl from Earth Crisis?
Yeah, and the guy from Cabal 315 and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, that's actually a great record.
But I mean, if you look, like, I don't know what Tony Victory was doing, but he was hitting on all cylinders. He was just bang, 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 bang. They were all, and the funny thing is, when we talk about one of the other labels in this series is Trustkill, these bands were all playing Josh Grabell's basement in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, which is kind of wild. I mean, God, if we had the internet back then, he wasn't too far from where I grew up. I would have been there every weekend fucking checking out those bands for like $10. Jesus.
Yeah, we should try and get him on.
We should get him on and have that conversation after, Tim, you know what? Maybe we should dig into the Donuts and try and figure this band out, because I don't remember. Do you ever remember listening to them? Ever?
No.
I don't even remember what they sound like, but it was a straight edge hardcore band of all girls from Umeå, Sweden.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, do your thing. Another sneaky great album that the Victory released, Songs to Fan the Flames of Discontent, the first Refused album, which was them when they were their punkiest, hardcoreiest.
No, but you know how I feel about that band. Just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, old guy. Then we have arguably their most famous, not arguably, unquestionably their most famous compilation. It was the California Takeover. So for those who aren't familiar, this was Earth Crisis, Snapcase, and Strife playing live at, was it the Chain Reaction, Tim?
More than likely.
I think it was the chain. And let me see if I can pull it up. Live in LA. There's the back. Live in LA. Where does it say? It doesn't say where it was recorded.
That's strange.
Or maybe it does, and then I don't, it isn't in this geez, they have pictures of everything. But I mean, this was, I mean, if you, and it was song, and it was structured for those who haven't heard it. There was 4 songs from each band, and it was Strife, Snapcase, Earth Crisis, Snapcase, Earth Crisis, Strife. Like it rotated back and forth, but it was Filter by Snapcase, Inherit the Wasteland, Windows, Ecocide, Lift, Forced March, Snapcase Steps, and the EP ends with the live version of Firestorm that I'm sorry is a monster. Like they still play that song great now, but holy shit, like it is a monster.
Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah, unbelievable. So we have that. We have Gamora's another Warzone album, The Sound of Revolution. You know, I haven't dug into them in a long time. We should probably dig that out. Okay, Tim. So here's another band I want to ask you. Do you ever mess around with this band? Baby Gopal.
No.
So this was a Krishnacore band from upstate New York. Again, if you looked at who Tony Victory was signing, right? He was doing all the New York bands. He was doing everything straight edge. Refused was straight edge at this time. We had the Donuts. Baby Gopal fits in. The one band that I don't think fits in, and I would love to get Tony Victory on just to ask him, like, yo, what were you thinking with this one? Hi-Fi and the Roadburners.
Oh, yeah.
This is rockabilly. This is rockabilly.
Not terrible, though.
No, not terrible, but I mean, when you looked at what he was signing and what he was releasing at the time, that was kind of really different for them.
You kind of think that like maybe that was a way of getting people into that type of music as well, though.
Maybe. I mean,
he's one of them labels. Not to cut you off. He's one of them labels that like brought a lot of them bands into the what's that word I could say?
Adjacency, like the hardcore adjacent stuff, or
he brought a lot of bands into. You also got to remember back then you would see a band like that touring with a band like Earth Crisis, like opening or something.
Right. And
so it doesn't surprise me that he would sign something like that. And plus, you got to think maybe he enjoyed it too. So
true. And I mean, you got to take a flyer on some of these bands and hope that maybe it works out. You know, if it does, you're lucky, which is the whole, second wind of victory. But I don't know, not for me.
I mean, yeah, now that I think about that, it was dumb what I just said. Maybe he enjoyed it. He had to have enjoyed it to sign it. But you know what I mean? Like maybe he was like really
maybe he was into it. I don't know. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for labels like Days, labels like Willow Tip, Unique Leader, where they have a niche, a Maggot Stomp. They have something, they have a sound that they like. They know that they like it. If the band plays that sound, they're more than likely to get signed. And
yeah.
I mean, that's where a lot of these labels were built on. And maybe, we could probably do a philosophical end to this episode of is what kills these labels when they try and make the turn and go big and sign bigger stuff that'll make them more popular instead of remaining in the underground. I mean, maybe you have more longevity if you just like the Willow Tip guy. He's just, bubbles below the surface and signs what he likes, and he'll never be fucking huge, but if you look at how many bands that have gone on to be success, look at Maggot Stomp and all the bands that they've signed that have gone on to do awesome shit.
We got to remember too. In 2002, I think he sold the catalog, didn't he? What was it, MCA?
Yeah. Who? Tony Victory? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he cashed out on that.
Yeah. In early 2002, he sold 25% of the label to MCA, and then the deal was terminated by Victory.
Oh shit! Okay. And then they went with. I know they went with somebody else.
Let's see. Another Victory was the publishing arm, which, by the way, you want to talk about a ripoff for artists is publishing. Let's see here. They had distribution with Sumerian Rise, Red Chord Records. Apparently it's still around. I
Doesn't
guess.
surprise me. Wasn't it Sony or something?
Red. It was a distribution deal through Red, which is Sony. Yeah.
I knew it was something like that. So I remember that was a huge headline back then.
Yeah, Tony Victory gets his shit distributed to Sony.
Yeah, and everybody always used to say like he sold out, and now he's got a mansion or some
He
shit.
didn't
Like,
fucking sell out. He bought in. Good for him. He took the
yeah,
money.
exactly. You would think
So
it too.
yeah, he would. So back to Hi-Fi and the Roadburners. 96, Tim is Screaming with the Dead Guy Quintet. So this is the first release without Tim Singer
Yeah.
and Keith Huckins. Then you have a whole bunch of various stuff. So that was the other thing. Tony Victory was a monster when it came to promos and when it came to comps. He was always banging them out. The next big release I see stand out, 97 was Damnation AD. They did a Damnation AD 7-inch.
Oh yeah, yeah. People love that band.
I have tried and tried and tried. I can't get into it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, me either. I'm not really a fan of it, but people love that fucking band. They still talk about that band.
Yes, yes.
Is
And
that
now
a Baltimore band?
DC.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
DC.
Something like that. Yeah.
So we've got some other stuff mixed in here. Cast Iron Hike.
Oh yeah, great band.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Never listened to. Never listened to.
Good stuff.
But then we have the next, I guess, a holy trinity, if you will, of Victory releases. In 97, you have Snapcase's Progression Through Unlearning.
Amazing record.
Integrity, Seasons in the Size of Days.
Great record.
Which is very uncomfortable to listen to. And Strife in This Defiance.
Oh yeah. Another
So
great
again,
one.
that's bang, 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 right after each other. 52, 53, and 54.
When did Satisfaction come out? That was 97, wasn't it?
Later 97. So let's keep going. We've got By the Grace of God, Tim. Were you a fan at all?
Yes.
Interesting band. I just remember them being pretty good. We have Blood for Blood shows up. Warzone again. Hatebreed, Satisfaction, Death Desire. This is VR 63. So
Ooh.
Strife was 54. This was 63.
Now we could do an episode on that one, but that record, man, is probably considered the greatest hardcore record of all time.
It is a perfect hardcore record for me. Yeah. I listen to it all the way through. I hit start and it goes back to the beginning, and I keep going again. It's when I need to get work done. This is what I put on in the background.
Yeah, I think that record is a pioneering record. It's perfect, like you said. There's not one bad song on it. I mean, it still holds up so good to this day. If 20 years from now, that record is still going to be talked about.
So I heard an interesting interview with Jamie Jost. I forget who interviewed him, but he did a good 2.5 hour interview. It was a podcast. And he talked about how one of the no, it wasn't them. Or maybe it was.
Yeah, they just do a 3-hour one with them.
One of the songs on Hatebreed was basically a comp of a bunch of riffs that were lying around in the studio. So they basically, at the last minute, threw a song together, a bunch of shit that they had lying around. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out what song it is.
Oh, he didn't say?
No, he didn't say what song it is, but I think it's Mark My Words. It's either Mark My Words or Worlds Apart. That's my guess.
Oh, I love that song.
Jesus, what a now we gotta pause this album so we go listen to it. So what comes after that? Well, we've got Victory Style, The Oath That Keeps Me Free by Earth Crisis. This is the Earth Crisis live album. And so now we're still in 98. We haven't even hit the turn of the century yet. In Cold Blood. Oh, here we go. My man Stick, Fury of 5, At War with the World. This is 98.
I forgot that came out on Victory.
The final Bloodlet album, the Seraphim Fall, Shutdown.
What Shutdown record? I love Shutdown.
Shutdown, Against All Odds, was 98.
Oh, amazing record.
We've got Blood for Blood. We've got Thumb. Wasn't the Thumb was the guy who was the skateboarder, right? Claus Grabkey? Yes.
I can't remember, but that's a great record too.
For Those Who Were Crucified shows up in 98. So the first All Out War album.
That is another perfect fucking record.
Can we talk about that new album?
Celestial Rot.
Sneaky good. That might sneak into my top 10 this year.
Yeah, all out black metal. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, they never stray from the path. I mean, they did a little bit on this record, but it works, man.
It just works. It just works. it sounds good. It just really, really sounds good. We've got Scarhead shows up, Danny Diablo. We've got Grade Under the
Okay.
Radar.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Oh, we have Electric Frankenstein. The Snapcase, Designs for Automation. What did you think of that album, Tim? This is 99. Do you remember it?
I can't
Type,
remember
I think Typecast Modulator was the big single.
what Harrison wasn't on that one, was it?
No, that was on Progression Through Unlearning.
So I think that record, if I'm thinking correctly, is the one where I was kind of like, got a little too experimental for my taste, I think.
Yes, they got a little alt rocky, kind of weird,
Okay, I'm
noisy
thinking of the
sort
right
of
record
stuff.
then.
Yeah.
It kind of went botchy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not that was where I was kind of like, okay, I think I'm done with these cats. No Innocent Victim was put
Oh, I
out on
love it.
Victory.
Love that record.
Then we have Living in Exile, the mini album from Blood for Blood, the great album. Buried Alive, The Death of Your Perfect World. This is 99. Okay, so now we're hitting
Perfect
99.
fucking record.
Reach the Sky,
Great band.
Integrity 2000.
Love it.
And then here we go. And now we finally tipped over. The first release from Victory in the year 2000 is Slither.
Oh.
Yep. Which, believe it or not,
wait, I thought Slither was on Victory. I thought Slither was on
well,
the
it
Major.
says where is it? Slither. It is where is it? LP album limited. Maybe you know what? Maybe they do. No, they did one on Roadrunner or two.
Oh, was Breed the Killers on Roadrunner?
Breed the Killers was on Roadrunner.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought Slither was.
Yes. No. Oh, Breed the Killers.
I should know this when we deep dive the fucking record.
Yeah, whatever. We were drunk. Breed the Killers was on Roadrunner, and then they went back to Victory for Slither.
Okay.
And I remember when we deep dove, we made the remark that if they had flip flopped, maybe they would have stayed on Roadrunner.
That's right. Yeah.
We end up with things like what else shows up? So this is 2000. Nu metal is still ascendant, but you're still getting some hardcore stuff leaking out of the woods. You have some metal stuff still coming around. I'm trying to think, what is the next good release that I would consider good? You have Gray Area. I don't remember them.
They were a posse band.
Okay. Well, the first band they name check in the bio is Warzone. So there you go.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We have This Time Is Personal by Fury of Five. We have Boy Sets Fire after the Eulogy.
Another band I enjoy.
Grade, Cause for Alarm, Catch 22, OS 101. Bunch of shit I don't even recognize.
Yeah, that's all stuff that you probably wouldn't be into.
And then you get to Earth Crisis Last of the Same. You get to Last Rites by Buried Alive. You get to
What did you think of Last Rites?
I don't remember it. Don't remember it.
It's Buried Alive, but it's definitely, I remember talking to Scott about that, and he was saying like it was pretty much a bunch of stuff thrown together.
That's what I figured. When they named the album Last Rites, it's like, hey, we got all these leftovers. It's like that Finch Eulogy EP. Okay, so now we talked earlier in this episode, Tim, about them making the turn. This is where the turn happens. In 2001, Victory 145, you have Thursday, Full Collapse.
Oh, you know what? Okay, he's put out 4 of my favorite records. Sorry.
Jeez, we're going to keep going. It's going to be 8 by the time this episode's over.
That's a perfect fucking record, dude.
I like it. So it's Thursday with Full Collapse at 145. But then you have Watered Down, Never Kill the Boy on the First Date, which is 151, which is a band of similar nature, of similar sound. They played that Seton Hall thing I went to. So this is where the sound is starting to turn, right? Grade, Head First Straight to Hell, right in the middle between those two. Again, the Victory sound's starting to turn. We have Hoods, but we also have a sneaky good album, So Sedated, So Secure by Darkest Hour.
Oh yeah, really good
which is
record.
really when they were in the Gothenburg sound.
We should dive them.
Darkest Hour, yeah, because they've had a hell of a career and they're still going. Jesus.
Yeah, great band.
Then we have Birth is Pain in 2001 by Ringworm.
I'm not. I don't know why I could never get into Ringworm. I got to go back and listen to all their stuff.
They're one of those bands that I love seeing them live because they put on an awesome show, but it just didn't do much for me. Which oddly, All Out War was the same way until that last album, and then I was like, "Whoa, okay, I gotta go backwards."
Fucking Human Furnace. That's a great name.
It is a great fucking nickname, dude.
Isn't he a tattoo artist as well?
I think so. He's all I remember was when I saw them at some metal festival in Delaware. He was drinking this giant tumbler full of whiskey. It's kind of impressive. So then he's got a whole shit ton of samplers. Then we have the last Strife album, Anger Means, which was not good.
Yeah, not that good.
Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Oh yeah, cool band.
Yeah, buddy. So then we have a band that I think is terribly forgotten about. Minus. Do you remember them from Iceland?
Yeah.
They did that album, Jesus Christ, Bobby.
Yeah, not a band that I was really into, but yeah, I remember them.
I got to download that and listen to it, Tim, because there's one song where it sounds like a fucking 747 goes through the studio. Like in the middle of the song, it just, when it just takes off from one side to the other, and you're like, what the shit? So now we're in 2002. So nu metal is on its descent, right? We've already, the high water mark for nu metal, I would say, was Hot Dog, Chocolate Starfish. So we're hitting things like, Snapcase and Transmission, the Snow Dogs, God. But now, here we go. Here's Victory's second coming. Back to back, Tim. We've got Taking Back Sunday. We've
Huge
got
record.
Atreyu, Suicide Notes and Butterfly Kisses. Huge record.
Record.
We've got Dead to Fall. Everything I Touch Falls to Pieces.
Huge record.
And then you've got Thursday, 5 Stories Falling.
It was all right.
But in the middle, you've got the last Bloodlet album, 3 Human Nights in the Cypress Trees. You've got Reach the Sky. You've got some other stuff in here. War All the Time, Thursday. Now we're headed 2003, right? So now things are really starting to. Nu metal has basically been put to sleep. It just doesn't know it yet. We have the rise of new wave American heavy metal. We have all this newer stuff coming out. I'm starting to see things like. What else? Silverstein, when Broken is Easily Fixed, Count the Stars, 2003. Do you want to talk about a monster album? We should probably go track by track. Darkest Hour, Hidden Hands of a Sadist Nation.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. Condemn to Suffer by All Out War.
Dude, Condemn to Suffer has some bangers on it.
Yeah, I went back and dove that. It's good. And then we have this album, which I was not a fan of, Snapcase's Bright Flashes.
Nope.
This was them when they really got into that alt-rocky, weird type stuff.
Yeah, they really went off the cliff.
And then it's Watered Down, A18 Freya, Glass Eater, Spitalfield.
Oh, they put out Glass Eater?
Glass Eater, Everything is Beautiful When You Don't Look Down in 2003.
Spitalfield, I fucking love that band.
Really?
Yeah, what record was that? Was that Remember Right Now?
Yes, Remember Right Now, 2003. Yeah. And then we end up with, so now we're still going in 2003. We've got The Silent Circus by Between the Buried and Me.
Oh yeah. Okay. Five of my favorite records.
We're gonna keep going. Here's number 6, The Curse by Atreyu. Yeah. What else do we have? Where You Want to Be by Taking Back Sunday. Which is another big album. Spitalfield.
What's that Spitalfield? Let me guess. So Remember Right Now is the first one. Stop Doing Bad Things.
I think that was it. I just came across the single that they did, which is Jesus. Those Days You Felt Alive.
Yeah. I'd love every fucking record they've done.
Let's see here. And then we've got, here we go. On Earth as It Is in Hell. Martyr AD. Unbroken by A Perfect Murder.
Great record.
On Earth as It Is in Hell was 2004. Martyr AD. Cover Your Tracks. Bury Your Dead, 2004, another
There you
album we
go.
have to deep dive. Left in Kowloon by Premonitions of War.
Oh yeah,
Scars of Tomorrow, Rope Tied to the Trigger.
another great one.
So look at that. Look at those five right there, right? Bury Your Dead, Martyr AD, Premonitions of War, Scars of Tomorrow, A Perfect Murder.
Okay, number 6, Martyr AD. Love that record.
And then we get to, okay, so now we're still in 2004, but you have the second Dead to Fall album, Villainy and Virtue. You have
What do you think of that one?
it has grown on me over time.
Me too.
I loved Everything I Touch Falls to Pieces because it was so different, right? That was the Gothenburg sound, them and Darkest Hour. This, I liked it, but it didn't really stick for me. And then I went back and I'm like, man, it really was good. The album, what was it? Are You Serious? I think was after this.
Yeah.
I love Dead to Fall. But yeah, I thought, again, another solid band put out a bunch of solid albums. I can't take it away.
The new stuff's good too.
Yes, it is. All those singles were good. Stray Light Run. We're seeing here Summer's End. That was the band that I was actually on my list to see at the Faded Hellfest that never happened. Hawthorne Heights, Pens and Needles. Saying Sorry is the name of the album.
They put out a record before that was huge though. Wasn't it Ohio is for Lovers or some shit?
I think so.
Or maybe that's the song title.
And now, I mean, we've reached 2005. Nu metal is all but dead. The new wave of American heavy metal is out. Metalcore is big. And I'm looking, and this is where it's Aiden, Action.
Cyanide Beach, shit like that.
Yeah, Cyanide Beach, jeez. Well, I thought that was a face down band, but I guess not.
Yeah, it starts to get like right around here.
Yeah, this is where it really kind of falls apart. I mean, Darkest Hours Undoing Ruin was 2005. The Horror of Realization by Scars of Tomorrow, which is another sneaky band that I really enjoyed that I don't think ever got the credit it deserved. They were a really solid metalcore band.
That's who told me Victory was shady, was Schellenbaum from Darkest Hour.
Oh, Mike Schliebaum? Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I don't really want to talk about it, but yeah. I was like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Comeback Kid, Wake the Dead. That was a huge album when that came out.
Huge record.
Silverstein, Discovering the Waterfront. Aiden. Nightmare Anatomy. And then we have, we're going to let's end with 2005. We'll finish out 2005. So we have Cyanide Beach. You were right. We have Alaska, by Between the Buried and Me, which is the first album where they really get into that weird proggy stuff they're doing now. This Is Our Revenge by With Honor. Yes. The Bury Your Dead live album, which is still a monster. Justice Replaced by Revenge for Ringworm.
Aren't you forgetting Walls of Jericho and stuff?
That hasn't. Why haven't I said? No, it was Trustkill.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's see here, and then we'll end 2000. That was all of 2005. Yep, the last 2005 Victory release was Aiden, Nightmare Anatomy.
Wow.
So they had a solid, with two waves. They had a solid almost decade, over a decade. Right, of just putting out quality albums that were influential to the scene. They were influential to a lot of modern bands, influential to a lot of sounds. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I think they'll go down as one of the biggest, like you said, influential labels ever. I mean, whatever happened with the dude, whatever his practices were, whatever. Like I said earlier, I don't know, so I'm not going to comment on it. But at the same time, how many bands got their start off of that label, and how many bands are still going that are huge from that label? You can't deny that shit.
Yeah.
Earth Crisis. Come on, dude.
Yeah, it's true. But I think it's safe to say where there's enough smoke, there's fire, and Tony Victory was a bit of a douchebag.
Yeah,
and
maybe maybe the money got to his head, something like that. Maybe, you never know.
Well, yeah, and you can tell when things turn, when he starts getting those bigger mainstream, main core, right, normie type bands like A Day to Remember, and Thursday was a huge band, God bless him. Hawthorne Heights,
you know how Darkest Hour got signed? They went, if my memory serves me correct from what Mike told me, they went to Chicago and played a show for him and like two other people in like some venue or some like house or some shit. to like 5 people, and they were like, "Yep, we're signing you." I remember him telling me something like that. Like, yeah, like we were trying to get signed, and we just were in Chicago, and we just played at some little thing real quick, and boom, signed.
I think that first album is still amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're that one record that has they did a video for it a long time ago. I can hear the song in my head, but I don't remember what it was called. I think it began with a C. I just
I don't
forget what
know.
record it was, but yeah, that I remember hearing that. I was like, "Yo, man, that's like the kind of shit right there I was looking for back then."
Yeah.
God damn it, I gotta find what that song's called. I'm gonna look on my phone while we're talking.
Yeah. Look for Darkest Hour videos. But I mean, the one band that we didn't talk about on Victory, well, this is probably because this is in the late, this is the early, after the aughts. This is 2010s, 2012s. Do you remember the band Design the Skyline?
It's Convalescence on Undoing Ruin.
Okay. Which is a fantastic album. The first 4 tracks are banger after banger. Do you remember Design the Skyline?
Yeah.
And how bad it was?
Oh
Like, it
yeah.
was terrible. I kept trying to buy Rob a youth large t-shirt from them. And I was signed up for when they were in stock because I was going to get them because there's no way this thing would fit them. But it was the lamest thing I could think to buy them. But yeah, I mean, Victory had their moment. They were definitely, we've talked lovingly about Roadrunner. We've talked lovingly about some of these other labels. This was a label that for a good decade was so influential to what people were listening to and what was considered popular underground, I guess I will call it. Right.
Yeah,
This is the next
definitely.
wave of stuff that's up and coming. Because to look at some of the bands that we talked about that have gone on to have massive careers, bands like Darkest Hour, bands like Between the Buried and Me. I mean, Earth Crisis still plays. Snapcase just did a bunch of reunion stuff. Stripe still plays occasionally. Dead Guy. I really do think the internet is what brought Dead Guy back together from just fading off into obscurity to that documentary to them playing live shows to now they're playing This Is Hardcore. Right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of wild. So they will always have it, however big a douchebag Tony Roll may be. They will always have a special place in a lot of our old head hearts for the bands that they actually took time to develop and to make a thing.
definitely. I agree 100%, man.
All right, Tim.
Especially with the other 2 labels we're going to talk about too.
So hardest question I'm going to ask you, and you only get 10 seconds to answer, so don't overthink it. What is your favorite Victory Records release?
Oh, Satisfaction.
Shit.
Not
You
even
answered that too easy.
Not even a question.
Same with Cover Your Tracks by Bury Your Dead right behind it.
Yeah, right behind it for me is Death of Your Perfect World. I think that's a fucking perfect record. It's just one good song after the other. It pretty much defined hardcore after Satisfaction. You had Death of Your Perfect World. Them 2 records defined hardcore for me. There's no other 2 records that will ever be the better records hardcore wise. There's never going to be records better than that.
So that I've said
maybe like Where Fear and Weapons Meet. I love the Weapon. That's a fucking amazing record, but that's not Victory.
So
maybe Shut It Down. That's a fucking great band. Or Shut Down. I mean, just when it comes to hardcore records, them 3 for me. I mean, I don't know if you consider Kid Dynamite hardcore, but them records too are just they're for me they're hardcore for me.
and now that I've said it out loud, I think if I'm going to say Satisfaction's number 1, Bury Your Dead is a 1A. I think number 2 for me is going to be the California Takeover
Oh,
because
okay.
it's those 3 bands when they're hitting on all cylinders. And I mean, shit, but now that I said that out loud, what about Progression Through Unlearning? There was not one bad track on that album.
Yeah.
And that snare sound. My God, that snare sound.
Yeah. I mean, that's I'm surprised we haven't talked about that yet or till now. Like, that's a fucking huge part of that scene or that time,
Yes. Okay, so everybody, if you're a nu metal fan, go check out the Victory Records back catalog. You can't lose by finding some of that stuff. You might find something weird and something obscure that you really like. If you're an old head, we hope we did the Victory Records oeuvre justice. Hope you enjoyed this quick trip down memory lane. And next week, or next episode in this series, we're going to do 3 in this series. We're going to talk about another label that was amazingly influential. And that label, begins with a T and ends with an L, and that's all we'll give you. So tune in next week for another episode. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at newbreed_podcast, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com for all your questions, comments, complaints, concerns, and dirty limericks. Find us on r/numetal and find us on the Facebook group. And until next week, this is Jay and Tim from the New Breed Podcast saying cheers.
Later.